Alright, looks like I'm finally live, so let's just go ahead and start this up, shall we? This is going to be a somewhat quick part, hopefully. I'll just go through the basic stuff for the first part of the all events run, or also required events of Major National. And I'll go ahead and just say the reason why I'm calling this a general tutorial is because I'm going to cover both all events and required events, because it'd be faster to do both of them in one, since basically all events, or basically required events, is just doing not all the events in the game, but the required ones. That's why I chose those names, because there's not really any percent you have to do certain events in the game. So I'm just gonna use my current world record all events run from QuickFest Speedfest 2018 as my video this time. So let's full screen this, and let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? I'll just go ahead and tell everyone I'm live now. Like that. Alright. So, now we've done that, let's go ahead and get started. So, as you notice, in this, I'm already in the game at this point. Time does not start until you start moving around as Lightning. So once you leave this starting position, that's when you start time. When you hold down your spacebar or whatever button you hold to accelerate, you have to start time at that time. At that point, I should say. But anyways, let's just go ahead and get this started. So I'm going to start the timer up here in a bit. Or they're going to start the timer, I guess, because this is a marathon. But we're going to start up. And of course, you can hold left here to get yourself set up for the turn that you need to do, because you need to head left immediately. Because that, as you see here on this little mini map here in the corner, the events that you need to head to are in that direction. So you can just go ahead and start holding left, and that won't require you to start time. It's not until you hold spacebar that you start time, okay? So you start time up, and then you're going ahead and going over to here. This right here is the first event you go to. This is Radiator Springs Circuit. You must start with this event. You cannot start with any other event. Plus, it's the closest anyways, so you might as well start with it. But anyways, Radiator Springs Circuit, the first event. Skip the cutscene with enter. By just mashing enter, I should say. That's how you skip cutscenes in this game. And just mash enter here to get through this menu very quickly. And then the race will start up. You'll have a countdown, and then you'll begin. You can pretty much hold spacebar this entire time once you're out of the menu. However, be careful. If you hold spacebar while you're still in the menu, even while it's transitioning, it will not register you holding spacebar, and you'll have to let go of it and press it again. Which can be very frustrating if you don't realize that. And that's why I'm going ahead and telling you that now. So that in case you decide to start running this game, and you accidentally hold spacebar during a menu, it will not register the input. You have to do it during it while the characters are moving in the game, while gameplay is actually not paused in a menu. And so, very quickly, I have to talk about your three main, or I guess four to an extent, main abilities that you're going to use. So, in the bottom corner right here, you have a little boost meter. And that is obviously going to be very useful for whatever you're doing in a lot of races, because as you see here, this boost bar has three little segments here. Normally in the game, you always start off with one segment, and you gain the other two as you progress. But in the modded version here that I'm playing, you start off with all three bars. And yes, you can do that. You can start off with all three bars. Obviously, that makes it much quicker because you gain speed faster with boost, and the more boost you have, the faster you can go. It's very useful, especially in these early parts of the run. Because obviously, I said we're only supposed to have one segment here, but now we have 3 times that. It's not really as useful later on, and once we get past Stadium 2, it's pretty much considered to be exactly the same at that point. But anyways, and then after that, you have power sliding, and I paused here, I think, because I was an idiot, didn't set things right. Yeah. Anyways, you also have power slide, which is done by holding boost is hold the A button on the keyboard. Of course, if you're playing a different version, or if you're even just using a different controller, it's obviously going to be way different. Plus, you can also set your control scheme on the PC version to whatever you want. So you can also do that, but default is the A button. And then you also have the S button default on PC for power sliding. By the way, yes, I play this game with a keyboard. It's alright. It's not the end of the world. I've played it like that my entire life. But anyways, after boost, you have power slide, which is the S button. Power sliding is pretty much like a drift, although it's mainly just used for taking tight corners and not losing a lot of speed during those turns. And then you have tilting, which is also for taking tight turns, however, it's pretty much like the opposite in terms of gaining speed. You lose speed when you tilt a lot. But sometimes turns are somewhat tight and they require tilting in order to commit to the turn very well. And we'll get into those kinds of turns later. But for now, this is the first race. It's pretty basic design, not a lot to it. It's pretty much just getting you used to the game, getting you to learn how to play it. Obviously, here I jump. That's for a reason, because the less air we have, the better. Obviously, because we want to be on the ground to gain speed. Don't mind the little switching camera there. That's just big air cam. If it distracts you, then you can come to me and I can ask them how to turn it off, disable it. But anyways, so yeah. If you're in the air a long time, you obviously lose speed. That's very bad. You want to have as much speed as possible. So obviously you want to try and get to the ground below from a ramp as soon as possible. Sometimes that's done by jumping at a certain point and making sure that you maybe hit the ramp at a certain way so that you angle towards the ground and can keep that speed going faster. Other times, it's just holding up until you're about where you can hit down to align yourself with the ground. Because also, if you are angled heavily when you hit the ground, you'll also lose speed like that. But if you're flat, parallel alongside the ground, then you'll lose little speed whenever you land. So that's also very important. And that's where the fourth ability comes in. That's jumping. Jumping is just done by hitting down and then up quickly afterward. So yeah, there's not a lot to the game's tricks. It's just simply about optimizing the game. It's about making sure that you're as quick as you possibly can be, making little mistakes, and trying to get the best times possible in every race. There are a couple tricks, but they're not really very outstanding per se. They're just more or less small tricks that save a few seconds every lap, and then overall they save like 15 seconds on this race at least. And we'll be getting to one of those tricks shortly. But for now, we have another ramp that you have to do an early jump on, like that. That was pretty decent. Obviously, you see this little big air 250 here. You get bonus points for doing certain actions, such as power sliding, backwards driving, big air. If you don't get any big air points here, that practically means you did that early jump perfectly. Although sometimes you might accidentally hit a wall and then land and you won't get those big air points. That's not quite perfect. That's just like, oh, you hit something, so you don't get the points, and then you hit something again, it's like, oh, you don't get the points. So it's like, whatever. But if you don't hit a wall and you don't get any big air points there, it practically means you did it perfectly. And there's also another big air cam there too on that ramp that we just passed, but again, you can turn those off, or you can ask me to find out how to turn those off, and I can tell you. But anyways, we go ahead and take this little right path here, because that's a shortcut. Obviously, if we look here, the cacti over here are blocking it from view, so pretty sneaky. But of course, if you played this game quite a bit, like I have, I've found that path, and so I was like, oh, I gotta take this path. It's faster. It's okay if you take the left path. Sometimes especially on a certain race with a certain character, I get thrown onto the left track because I just can't quite turn fast enough onto the right track, even with power sliding and tilting. So if you happen to get thrown onto the left track, that's fine. It only wastes a couple seconds overall, so it's nothing too significant. I would just try to practice getting onto that right path for a lot. Then here's the first trick. As you see, I turn to the left onto the normal path, but then I'm turning right here into this fence here. And the reason why that is because we're going to jump over. I should have jumped over this little portion right here, but I decided to go for a little bit riskier strat. Jump over a little bit earlier portion. I might not have made this, actually. Yeah, I did make it. So that's why you got to jump over the little broken part right here. You know, the little part that dips into the ground right there. You still have to jump over it. You can't drive over that. But you can jump over it, and then you can do what I did here and drive around like that. Of course, it failed, so I just did this version here. Saves a tiny bit more time like that. But yeah, you pretty much just drive around this thing right here. Like so. And then just keep going in the normal direction. But then, very quickly, we go into the second trick. That first trick saves about like 2 seconds if you do it right. And then this right here. As you notice, we're going off track into this little wall right here. We do that on purpose. Because when we do that, if we do it a certain way, you'll notice it no longer said we were off track. We were back on track for a tiny bit. So then we turn to the right very quickly to make sure we avoid this building here. Because if you're not quick enough, or if you're not paying attention and you do it wrong, you'll hit the building here, and you'll be forced to reset because you won't have enough time to get back on track. But anyways, after you do the little thing where you hit the wall, then come off it, make sure you watch out for the tree there, and then watch out for this little sign right here and these little posts here. You can hit any of those things, and it will mess you up. Especially the sign here. You might not think that you'd be able to hit it, but you can hit it, and it sucks when you hit it, because you're still off track if you hit it, and you're forced to reset even though you were so close to being back on track. But anyways, if you avoid it like that, then that's the trick. That trick saves about 5 seconds each lap, so we save about 2 plus 5 every lap. That's about 21 seconds total. And so that's pretty much right here, Spring Circuit. Just practice the mechanics and then practice the tricks on the track, and then you should be good to go. Of course, I should probably mention, you also notice me going to the left here, because this left part is the only part that doesn't have a lot of, that doesn't really have a huge dip in it, so that way you don't get air at all, or at least not a lot. As you see there, I just immediately went back to I did go in the air for a tiny bit, but I went back onto the ground. So, that's also very important. Wasn't I supposed to have another speedrun in this game? I don't know. It's a great question. I may have, but I may have also decided to cancel it because I might not be feeling good. But either way, I'm gonna probably do another run of it at a marathon, so you can certainly expect that. If I get accepted, that is. Hopefully I will. Anyways, so yeah. Not as much dip on the very left part there. That's pretty much where you want to aim for. And that's pretty much it for the first race. I'm glad you came though, Victor. Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, see here I do the trick correctly there. They save about 2 seconds worth of time there. And then I do this again. I should make it unless I hit the sign somehow. Okay, yeah, I did that right. Good. I'm heavily debating whether or not that second trick saves about 5 seconds or 3 seconds, actually. I'm just, like, assuming that it saves about 5 seconds, but it could only save about 3 seconds, which would be only 15 seconds worth of time save across all 3 laps, if you do both tricks right. You got a notification? Cool. Yeah, but real talk, when did I say I would do another speedrun of this? Because if I really did say that, I guess I probably wasn't really looking to it all that much. I don't know, though. It's just another one of your tutorials, yeah. Oh yeah, because the computer player is on easy for this run, the CPUs on this track are very slow, so you're more likely to rubber band them. Hopefully, if you're not too fast, you shouldn't have to deal with them, but who knows? It might end up being a problem if you're fast enough. But I've never had to deal with that. At least not a lot. So it should be alright. But yeah, that's Radiator Springs Circuit. Just match through these menus with Enter. Especially if you're playing on regular, you don't absolutely have to save every time, but because this is the modded version, I pretty much save every single time, so that way, in case it crashes at any point, I can just reload it very quickly, because it can crash pretty easily with the mod. But at the same time, even if you don't play the modded version and you only play regular, or unmodded, I guess you could also call it, you still have a chance of crashing at certain points, so it'd be smart to save every once in a while in regular and save at least every other time in modded. If not every time. But that's just me. I think you said that in your latest speedrun you did back in September. Oh yeah, that was a while ago. That was a while ago. I don't know if I remember when exactly I was supposed to do that. Maybe I was trying to do that in Halloween, but I failed, and so I was like, forget it. Let's just not do that, because I didn't want to spend too much time on the stream. But that's alright. If I really feel like it, I might do a speedrun, but I'm also heavily focused on college stuff, and it's starting to make me, I don't know what the right word is, but not worried necessarily, but stress. Stress, that's it. Starting to make me feel somewhat stressed, so I'm just trying to focus on that heavily. Once everything is good, though, I might start doing some more stuff again. Because I already finished my first semester of college. And I got all A's and everything except history. But that's fine. So I have more classes in order to keep a certain scholarship on me. But anyways. So yeah, once that is finished, for required events, you would instantly go over here to this little event right here behind the Leaning Tower tires there. But since this is a run of all events here, I'm going to go over here to this minigame right here. And this is Ramon's Rhythmic Rumble. I'm going to go ahead and talk some stuff that specifically applies to the all events run very quickly, and then I'm going to go back to both runs. Basically, if it does imply, if it applies to required events, it applies to both, and then there are some things that only apply to all events. That's basically how I'm doing this. But anyways. So yeah, Ramon's Rhythmic Rumble. Obviously, it's a rhythm game. You have 4 buttons, Y, U... excuse me, go back. Let's look at the menu very quickly. Pause it. So you see here, you have Y, U, A, and S. That corresponds to each quarter you see down here at the bottom, or you'll see down here at the bottom. One of the most boring minigames ever. Yeah, admittedly, especially on the easier difficulties, but for the all events run, we do it on easier difficulty because it's faster. But anyways, so yeah, 4 buttons. And again, it depends on how you set it in the controls, because you can change your controls. But those are the defaults, and those are what I use. Oh, I forgot to mention, tilting is default to left shift, which can be very annoying, especially if you have to mash it like I do in a speedrun. So I switched mine to the C button. I honestly think that's just what you should do, is map it to a button that's not caps lock, shift, tab, those buttons, shift it to a letter button that's not used, or maybe you can set it to something else. I don't know. It just depends on who you are, though. If you don't mash it as much as I do, and you're instead very consistent about holding it, then that certainly doesn't matter if you use shift or not. But anyways, so also I don't have any sound on because I do commentary in this run, and I'd have to be talking over that, and that'd be annoying. So I'm not turning the sound up. But yeah, this music would be playing here. If you want to hear the music, watch the run of this. That's all I can tell you. I know, I'm just saying it to whoever's like, oh, well, where's the music at? But anyways, so yeah, as you see here, the four corners, the Y, U, A, S, there will be these little notes that'll come from the sides of the screen to these corners here, like this. They'll somewhat match the beat of the music, but honestly, you just have to kind of time it. And since this is easy, all these should be, for the most part, easy. Or I should say the technical term is rookie difficulty. That's the actual name of the difficulty of the game. Of the easy difficulty, that is. So when you time your button press, you can have one of two outcomes. That is, if you time it right. You can have this little everything but the note is gold, where you basically time it right on the money. And then you can also have like a timing like that, where only the note turns gold and the rest of it is still white, where it's like you time it on the edge of the border right there, of the corner there. Which, it doesn't really matter, as long as you time it right, it's fine. And as long as you don't mess up too many notes, then you'll win the minigame. So yeah. And all you gotta do is just get through it. It's basically like an auto-scroller. I mean, well, I shouldn't say it's basically an auto-scroller. It is an auto-scroller. That's all it is for a speedrun. It's an auto-scroller. And the reason why we put it on easy difficulty is because the songs themselves are shorter whenever you're on the rookie difficulty versus higher difficulties. Higher difficulties have the song go even longer. So it's obviously not a good idea to do it on harder difficulties, especially because there's no separate category for all the difficulties, because there are only two areas where that really affects anything as far as the length of the speedrun as far as the length of the game goes, that is. And no, I'm not talking about CPUs not rubber band. I'm not talking about CPUs like falling behind or anything like that. Because CPUs don't rubber band. This doesn't look like an auto-scroller. Well, it is. It is an auto-scroller. It's basically an auto-scroller for the speedrun. Because you can't speed it up at all. You can only pretty much do it like one time right and then move on to the next minigame. You know? And it pretty much takes like maybe 20... No, not quite 20 minutes. Maybe 5 minutes? I'm not sure, actually. I'd have to time it. Or I'd have to look at how long it takes. But it takes about like 5 minutes no matter what. Unless you mess it up too much. In which case, yeah, you have to do it over again. And that takes obviously even more time. And that's another reason why you want to play it on easy. So that way you can't mess it up. Or more likely won't mess it up. But then again, who knows? Maybe me saying that will cause them to mess up. The second one here starts making you use the second button over here. Obviously, it's trying to get you used to it because it's on easy difficulty. And then the fourth one will introduce you to the bottom two buttons. And then you're pretty much just trying to do the same thing over and over again for 3 more. There are 7 of these. Let's just go ahead and fast forward through this. So yeah, 7 of these. I have to wait for it to... Actually, let's just skip ahead. Yeah, as you see, we go for a little while with this. Never mind, I guess it does take about like 10, 12 minutes maybe. Yeah, I wasn't going to cover all 7 levels. That would take too long. I don't want this tutorial to go on too long. Oh yeah, I should mention though, those little circle ones you see there, these right here, those are two at the same time, basically. So, like you see here, they come together at the same time. You have to hit them both at the same time for them to count. Otherwise, you miss them. So, obviously, here it's like A and S. And then up here would be Y and U. Sometimes it could be Y and S and A and U. You know? Or sometimes it could be Y and A and U and S. Stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much everything for the auto-scroller. For one of the auto-scrollers, that is. There could be a couple other things that are considered auto-scrollers, but those are somewhat debatable. Well, actually, one of them is not really debatable. It is an auto-scroller. The other one is somewhat debatable as an auto-scroller, but we'll get to those when we get to those. And in fact, we won't get to those in this part because they happen in Ornament Valley and Tailfin Pass and the like. But anyways, so this is a scavenger hunt sort of thing. We have to find 3 parts for Monster McQueen. So basically, you go here. After this is for all events. After you complete over there the Rhythmic Rumble games, you come here. For required events, you would beat Radiator Springs Circuit, then come here. The first part is right here, as you see, this little thing. Pretty easy to find. The other 2 parts you have to look around a little bit more for, but obviously if you're doing a speedrun, you should know where they're at. Or you'd have notes on where exactly they're at. The second part is right behind the courthouse here. You just slow down so you get it very easily. Of course, my computer locked up, forced me to turn around like that. Then it's a tire, obviously, so then you come this way. You take a similar route to Radiator Springs Circuit. Make sure you get as little air as possible. You want to turn into here. There's the last part right there. Grab it, turn around. I think it's faster to turn around here and then go back to Luigi's, which is the place where we were at. So yeah, just pretty much head this way. Take the little route right here. It's faster. It's a straight line as opposed to going around. Go around the fence like that. You can go this way. I think that's faster. Yeah, it's definitely faster. You enter this little ring right here. And then that's the scavenger hunt. That's one of the 2 scavenger hunts. We have to do another one, but it won't be for a little while. Anyways. Obviously, if you're going for a faster time, you want to switch back to regular McQueen because that's slightly faster. But of course, if you don't really care about getting a really faster time, then you can stick with Monster McQueen. So yeah, just starts up when it loads, hit right or left, doesn't matter. Whichever way you feel comfortable with hitting. And then select Lightning with Enter, and then he'll say something really long. Just delay it, and then it'll transition back. And then you go ahead and head to the right here. Go to Relay 1. And this is the event I was talking about before, where I kind of sometimes miss that shortcut. Because it's hard to control Mater here. And for some reason it messes up on mine and it only does 2 characters. So, as opposed to 3. But otherwise, your relay races will involve 3 people. Yeah, the file's still broken. I still haven't gotten that fixed. I don't know why it doesn't want to work, but oh well. Even though I got the latest version. But whatever. I don't care right now. So yeah, basically, relay races. As you see, we're on Radiator Springs Circuit, but we have multiple characters now. So first up in line is Lightning. And then after that, we're going to switch to Mater here, as you see. And then after that, we were supposed to switch to, I think, either Sally or Doc. But it just doesn't switch, and it's still 2 people. I really have to figure out how to fix that. I wanted to get the latest version anyway, so it wasn't necessarily to fix this. Just, I wanted to get the latest version. I changed it to Fillmore? Okay. Interesting. But yeah, basically you have lightning first, and then you change it to a second character, then a third character, and then the race ends. As you see, we're still performing the same tricks we did on Radiator Springs Circuit, because they're still faster. It's really good to boost into the character, so that's why I waited a bit here. As you see, I let go of my booster a bit, and then I started boosting again when I was about to hit the character from behind and start them. So yeah, because it gives them a lot of speed there. As you see, I was almost maxed out right there. It's very good to boost into them. I guess I did switch to Fillmore. Okay then. But anyways, yeah, as you see, it's a little harder to control Mater, obviously, because Mater's not built for speed like Lightning is, so it's going to have a harder time controlling, especially at faster speeds like this. But it's slightly faster overall to just go that speed. The question is, why? I don't know, actually. I don't know what I was thinking with that. I guess maybe because Fillmore was supposedly faster? I don't know. I'd have to think about that quite a bit. Even though Mater here is because of that cutscene. Right. And I know Lightning just picks Doc because, Doc will more like a race. Oof. Yeah, I hit that tree there. That slowed me down. That's another reason why I was saying avoid the tree, because it's happened to me before, as you see. In fact, I don't know if I hit the sign or not during this run. I may have, but either way, avoid the sign and the poles there, like I said. That's really important. And yeah, cause normally on this lap I would be Fillmore, but for whatever reason my game just doesn't want to work. And that's okay. If your game for some reason isn't allowing you to use all three characters because you edited the files in a certain way, that's fine. As long as it's still 3 laps, I won't care. And as long as your first character is still Lightning, I won't care. I won't care at all. Hopefully I get this one right. Nice. Good stuff. Alright, we no longer have to deal with Radiator Springs Circuit. Oops. So yeah, good stuff there. Oh yes, I have some Nightbot on. Whoops. Alright, well, it's whatever, I guess. Alright, next up is Fillmore's Nature Preserve. This one is an interesting race because it's a bit closed off, so there's not really a whole lot of open paths, so not really a lot of tricks involved. But it's still an okay track in my opinion. It's still an introductory track as well. So, but why do I have Nightbot on? I just wanted to try new things. That's really it. I just wanted to be like, okay, let's just try Nightbot. I wanted to try the now live bots. But I haven't figured out how to start the now live bot yet, so I need to contact Gooby on that one. But, anyways, so yeah, oops, Fillmore's Nature Preserve. Right here's a big dip here. Don't jump here. The computers jump, but don't jump. Don't jump at all. Just hold forward, and you'll fall down fast enough to get back to the ground faster like that. And it'll gain speed. Oh yeah, another thing about the boost I forgot to mention. So, you'll see that I always try to use up all my boosts until I have a very little tiny bit left. Yeah, because jumping, it gives you air, it slows you down. But anyways, always use up until a tiny bit of boost is left. And the reason why that is because if you use it up all the way, it will actually emit a sound effect, and it will take a longer time to start refilling than if you don't quite use it up all the way. If you don't quite use it up all the way, it'll start refilling faster. It always refills at the same exact rate, but depending on how much you use, whether you use up all of it or not all of it, when you stop using it, will determine how long it takes for it to start refilling. And also the fact that if you hold the boost button down even after you've used it all up, it'll still not refill. So you have to be careful about that. It'll add on extra time depending on how long you hold the button. So yeah, as you see there, I was using it up quite a bit until it started refilling up again, like that. As you see, it's already past halfway. And obviously, it's very useful to have more boost, so yeah. You want to do that. And here, you want to... That's a somewhat hard early jump to make here. So basically, you see, first off, there's a shortcut right here. I'll go back here so you can see this. On this dark little path here, there's a shortcut to the right. It looks like it's barricaded, but to be honest, that's always a sign that there's a shortcut there. Seriously, if you played racing games, you should know it's a fucking shortcut. But anyways, break that. You go through. You have to do a somewhat early jump here by jumping before you reach the tip of the ramp. And then make sure you're flat or parallel along with the ground there, so that way you lose a little speed. And then make sure you're power sliding and maybe tilting here as well, so that you can get into this little pathway here, because this is also a shortcut. But anyways, and this early jump is somewhat hard to make, because if you don't do it right, you'll actually hit this little ground right here. This little cliff thing. You'll clip that, and it'll stop you. And you'll fall down into the cliff down there, and you'll respawn on the bottom ground. That's not this here, and so you'll have to take the slower route. And so now you won't always fall into the cliff if you hit that bar there, but yeah, it has happened a lot of times to me. But anyways, like I was saying, you don't have to fall into the. You don't always fall into the cliff. But if you happen to miss the early jump and you clip the bar, it's still faster to fall into the cliff because it actually spawns you in with speed if you do that. So basically, if you clip the bar and fall down, fall into the cliff, even if you don't automatically fall in, because it'll give you speed when you respawn, and so it's basically worth it. Because otherwise you have to start up from 0 miles per hour. Even with boost, it'll take a little while for you to get back up to speed. But if you fall into the cliff, you can just end up with speed, and then save your boost for that, and then boost after you respawn with speed, and that'll instantly get you back up. So you waste as little time as possible. There may be some kind of cut through here that could involve going on the other side of this barrier here, but unfortunately a lot of it is off track. In fact, I think even me on this side going right next to the barrier is off track, so it was pretty much deconfirmed. But you can actually cut through this little barrel right here. I accidentally clipped it and I almost went inside of there too. But if I hadn't hit that barrel, I would have kept a lot of my speed going, and I would have been able to take a slightly faster turn. But oh well, that's fine. I have next lap to fix it, so that's fine. But yeah, that was Fillmore's Nature Preserve pretty much. We'll just watch the second lap very quickly, see if I get that cut that time. Okay, here you basically don't want to jump at all. You want to hold up until you eventually get to around that point. Then you want to start holding down so you're parallel to the ground like that. Good stuff. I kind of tilt and power slide here at the same time to help me take that turn slightly tighter. And then you take the turn here. It's a shortcut like that. Jump, land parallel. That was a pretty good turn there. And that was a pretty good early jump there. No big air points, so that's good. Use them till a little bit is left. And we kind of take an outside angle here so that way we can turn in very quickly. And there we go. That was somewhat better. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll just skip ahead. Oh yeah, the AI, as you saw there, was going somewhat slow. So maybe you'd have to be careful there, but I don't know. I don't think I had to worry too much about them. For the most part, they actually do tend to stay out of your way with their lines, but sometimes, every once in a while, they might get in your way. So yeah. Just save the game after that point. And then, at this point, yeah, okay, I did remember. Oof. Oof. I did remember to go over to the second scavenger hunt. Build it, or, yeah, I want to be a monster too. Or, excuse me, cutscene underscore 25. In your new series, you always overlap the CPUs. Yeah, because I'm fast. But anyways, just skip the cutscene there. Here you use the tilt button to start up the metal detector here, and then you use the power slide button to dig up stuff. Like so. Basically, once you dig it up, once you're in the direction, you just mash the S button. Make sure you're aligned with however the compass is pointing when you mash the S button, so that way you can dig it up. And then once you dig it up, hit the tilt button and start going towards the next one. Pretty much, this is the fastest order because you're just going after them one after another in quick succession. I slow down here so that way I can turn around quickly, like so. Instead of running into the stuff there, that would slow me down quite a bit. Just stuff you have to think about while you're doing the run. Again, I just slow down here so I can turn somewhat quickly, because I don't want to run into stuff. That would slow me down a lot. Here I can go somewhat fast into it, because there's not much in the way of this one. Like so. Quickly turn around. And here, slow it down a bit so I can go to it, then go over here. And I think I may have made a mistake on this run because I did go to North Williams Butte before, or anything else for that matter. I missed that up. For me, because Cars 1, according to Lightning Stats, he has a lot more speed and less acceleration. For Lightning Stats, he has more acceleration and less speed. I don't know. I have no idea. They didn't even show the speed stats in the game, so... Or maybe I did mess it up. Did I do it? Yeah, I did do this. Okay. Never mind. I wasn't thinking straight. Okay. But yeah, you basically get the last part, and then you go... That's also for required events, I should say. Basically, other than Rhythmic Rumble so far, everything has been for required events and all events both. So yeah, you do this, you go to you do the scavenger hunt, get all the parts, but then you're supposed to go back to Mayor's place, but you don't quite go back there yet. Instead, we go to North Williams Butte, and then we complete North Williams Butte, and then for required events, you would then go to Mayor's place and finish that scavenger hunt, and then go to Stadium Race 1. But for all events, we have a bit of a different schedule. But anyways, first we have to do North Williams Butte. So, you start here, obviously. I have 2 opponents, because that's how I set it to. You can change your starting position, because it's not the default starting position. And you can also change what opponents you play as. You just can't change who you play as. Very important. You have to be Lightning. But anyways, right here is the first main gimmick. Right behind this, there's a little cactus area. You drive over the cactus somehow, even though that should puncture your tires, but it's whatever. But that gives you air, and we obviously don't want that. So, we're going to be going to the left of the cactus here, as you see. But you could go to the right as well, but the way it's set up, it's slightly easier to go to the left of it. It also saves a tiny bit more time if you don't have to set it up to go to the right. So you just aim yourself to the left like that. And as you see, that'll allow us to go right past the cactus. When you go in Luigi's place, you see lightning stats, or you can see the free play mode. Yeah, but you don't see the speed stats for whatever reason. You only see boost, acceleration, weight, handling. But anyways, you avoid the cactus like that, and then you pretty much just go about the track for the most part. The rest of the track pretty much normally. You do a power slide throughout that turn. Make sure you're not like against the wall whenever you do it, because you can do that, and it's a little bit slower. You have these little twists and turns sections right here. You have a very tight turn right here. You tilt a couple times, or one time I guess there. That's pretty good. Hold up on that, don't jump, just hold up so you fall faster. You have to jump over these puddles so that way you lose less speed, because if you drive over these puddles, you lose a lot of speed. Now, used to, we would just drive over this, but I found out it's actually slightly faster to just jump over it and then to turn very quickly into there. But anyways, we go on the outside here, as you see, so that way we can enter that tunnel very quickly. And I know it seems somewhat slow when we went in there. That might not have been the best, but I think I did it better on the next lap. I touched the puddle. Yeah, I touched the puddle on the left. That's fine. Sometimes you can't avoid that. You just drive through it. It's alright. As long as you only touch it for a tiny bit, you don't lose too much speed. But if you drive over those puddles, like before we were jumping over them, then you can lose a lot of speed. So, Rabbids cameo, yeah. But anyways, you drive through the shortcut, and then that pretty much is that section done. Here, there's a theory I have for a shortcut going through this little section, but I've never been able to make it work, at least so far. There might be a way I can make it work, but I'd have to test it out, and I haven't had the time to do that yet, so yeah, I'm just gonna assume that it's not possible right now until I get something to work. I have gotten it to work a couple times, but it just doesn't want to work every time. I don't know why. But anyways, you just go around here, you take the turn, make sure your power slide. I actually ran into those things there. Oh well. You go this way, turn right. And then here, you want to start hugging the wall on the right here, because that way you'll avoid these little tornadoes here. These tornadoes can be very annoying. If you take the middle path, it can be very hard to dodge them, because you have to pretty much predict their pattern. And they're on a cycle, a global cycle maybe, but they are on a cycle, but it's hard to determine what their cycle is exactly. No matter how much I've played this game, I'm just like, okay, what is this pattern that they do? They can obviously go back and forth, but it's like I can never tell where exactly they start. I've even been caught by this last one here, because while you hug the wall on the right, you do eventually have to go through this gate here. And the tornado over here protects the gate pretty well. So, yeah, it can be kind of hard to avoid that, but oh well. We go through, and then we're about to reach the finish line here. Like so. Oh yeah, it's starting to buffer for a bit. But anyways, after that, what happens is, as you notice here, it says 2 and 2. This race is actually normally only 3 laps long, but for boss races and for a certain event that we'll get into in a bit here, you're allowed to tune it down 1 lap for the races in here. So basically, this is a boss race against Otto here. Yeah, I changed it, of course. So it's 2 laps instead of 3. If we look back, 1 minute 39 seconds is a somewhat long time for a track. But obviously it's not the longest. There is a track in this game that is normally 2 laps long, and we only make it 1 lap, because it's a boss race as well. So yeah. I will get into that when we get into that in the third part. But, anyways, so yeah. Otto here is our boss for this race, and we're just going through North Willie's Beauty. It's basically just an oral race, but it's a special character. Think of it like that. But anyways, go to the left of the cactus again. sometimes you might get this thing where you accidentally have no control. You go up the little half pipe, I guess, here, and you hit this. You start going in the air, but then you could, or you might sometimes accidentally go on the cactus. But what you can do is you can hit the little angled ceiling here and knock yourself down to the ground quickly to gain speed back very quickly. But obviously, I didn't have either of those things happen to me, and I was able to keep moving on really quickly, like so. After that, this section is pretty much the same. Let's see here. Did I do this better? Yeah, I did that better. Good. See, that's pretty good. Here you hold up. Don't really worry about jumping. You can do an early jump there, but it's somewhat precise. So just hold up and then fly yourself out whenever you need to. Or make sure you don't go angled into the ground. Then go around this turn again. Avoid the tornadoes again. Like I said, hug the right wall and then go in there whenever it's just about to the left. And then that's North Williams Butte. Those are all the main road races, and also we've completed the relay race of the Radiator Springs section. So now we just need to... Actually, it's not really all the main races per se, but we're going to go ahead and head back to Mayor's section, or Mayor's Place here. I thought for sure I'd actually go to Race Chases, but that's alright. We'll go to Mayor's Place. I feel like it might be faster to go to Race Chases than Fuel Frenzies than Mayor's Place, but there's a certain event that unlocks when we go to Mayor's Place. So basically, we got all those parts for the scavenger hunt. We go to Mayor's Place. He becomes a monster truck. Skip a bunch of cutscenes, and then a new event unlocks the waypoint races with the monster trucks. You have to come over here for it, as you see on the minimap. You can look at the minimap if you're lost and see where all the white dots are. Those, especially if you're in all events, you'll need to use that a lot, because obviously, if you're new to the game, obviously, because you won't know where the events are. If you're doing only required events, then just look for the stars, the white stars. Those are the required events to progress the story. So yeah. Although, the only two that are not stars are the two scavenger hunts that we did, so be careful of that. Anyway, Waypoint Race 1. This one is somewhat easy, especially on the easy difficulty, because the monster trucks AI in this game, especially on the lower difficulties, is absolutely stupid. They can barely do anything. They're so incompetent, they can barely go through the waypoints. They go too fast and they miss the checkpoints because they're having to turn to get the checkpoints. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed. So you have to turn back to get them. But anyways, yeah, waypoint race. You obviously have to go through the waypoint in order to continue on to the next one. If you miss it, you have to turn back, which obviously wastes a ton of time. You want to get, if you're going to do all events, you want to get good at these. This is obviously one of the many ways to lose a ton of time in the run, is if you just miss one checkpoint in the race, and you have to turn back and get it. It sucks, believe me, no matter which waypoint race it is, and no matter which checkpoint it is in each race. It sucks if you miss one. So aim for all of them. Of course, the path here is somewhat simple. It's not really too much. It's just kind of, there's a couple areas that can be very tricky. The first one is right here with these trees and near the Cozy Cone Motel. If you hit the trees in the wrong way, you'll stop. And you can also get hit on the side. You can also hit the side of the trees, which can direct you into a cone and pull you to a complete stop. And also, there's slopes here that can kind of mess you up, because if you're in the air at all, it pretty much prevents you from changing directions. Because as you see here, it's just kind of like a hump, and I drove over it, and it tossed me in the air for a tiny bit. So I was like, I can't. So it's like you can't control yourself for a bit if that happens. But anyways, if you get past that section, then that's really good. So keep going, get this checkpoint. Next checkpoint over here, and then next up is the next tricky section, because again, slopes are really awkward for turning, so maybe I would recommend slowing down, because as you see here, I have to slow down quite a bit just to get into the waypoint. But anyways, so yeah, and then the checkpoint there, and then that's the last checkpoint of the lap. Once you enter that, it'll turn to the next lap. And then it starts anew. You do it 2 more times, or you do that path 2 more times, I should say. And then that's it. Let's go forward, so that way we don't have to worry about that too much. Or worry about not saying anything. So there you go, Waypoint Race 1 is done. There's 1 in each area, so obviously we're only going to cover 1 in this part. Alright, so now we go ahead and go over to the Race and Chases, which are probably one of the more interesting parts of the All Events run. Oh yeah, I should mention, after you go to Mayor's Place and turn those parts in, then for requirements you would go straight to Stadium 1, which is where the star on the minimap is, but this is an all events run, and so we're not doing that, but I'm obviously doing a tutorial for both runs. So if you're doing requirements, don't pay attention to any of this from after we went to Mayor's Place to trade the parts. Like, once we went over to Waypoint Race 1, you don't have to worry about that if you're doing required events. You don't already have to worry about any of this, Race to Chases or Fuel Frenzies. So Race to Chases. There are 3 in each area, 1 for each regular road race. Pretty simple. The idea is also pretty simple. It's you and your opponent. You're having to chase your opponent and tag them. As you see, the opponent here has a little yellow beam across or on top of them. When you start playing it, you have to tag them by running into them, basically. Don't worry, you'll go through them. You won't actually run into them, as you'll see here. Also, this is another good thing to have 3 bars for, because if you only have 1 bar, it's somewhat slow catching up to him, and so you have to pretty much take a while to just catch up to him and get him. But here we have 3 bars, and so it's much quicker. That's another good thing, in my opinion. That's another reason why I like having the 3 bars. Also, when you tag them, your boost fills right back up. So that's also a very nice thing. Take advantage of that. Anyways, like I was saying, you tag them. Once you tag them, follow the arrow up here to your base. And make sure you're quick enough where they won't be able to catch you. They suggest taking like a bunch of turns and make sure you vary your movement so that way you're not just going in a straight line and they can easily catch you. You can also jump over them, especially if they're going fast enough, but that's a very risky strat and it more likely will end up in failure if you try it. So anyways, this first race chase is somewhat easy, not too much to it, and I should admit, even on easy difficulty, these can be kind of tricky to optimize. But anyways, go to the base. The arrow kind of does something weird. Don't mind that. Once you see the yellow arrow here, you know that's your base. You have to go to it, especially because of the yellow beam above it as well. But anyways, just tag your opponent and get to your base. The second and third ones are in a little bit more closed off space, however, especially the second one. So once we get into the second one here, I'm going to show you what exactly you do. So first, you gotta speed up and tag Vince here. So tag him. I miss him. May I have reset here? Yeah, I reset. Yeah, I was just like, forget it, reset. If you miss them and they start going ahead, even if they're on easy difficulty, it's better to just reset and try it again rather than go after them, because you want to be closer to your base when you tag them. That wastes less time. It also gives you a more likely chance of actually getting to your base before they tag you back. That's an important thing. You don't want to get tagged back at all. if you get tagged back, you have to chase them again. And that is very hard to do. And also wastes a lot of time, obviously. So, obviously better to reset than to try and chase them further. But anyways, here at Tag him, what you want to do is you want to slow down, maybe even hit the wall, and start turning in the opposite direction as quickly as possible. Do a quick turn. When you do that, you'll be able to start going the opposite direction towards your base very quickly. And you shouldn't have to deal with Vince at that point, but of course you want to be cautious. You want to make sure you're looking at this here. This gives you somewhat of an idea of when he's close by, because the icon will grow in size if he's getting closer, and also shows kind of direct approximately what position he's in according to your back, basically. So yeah, reach the arrow, boom. There you go. Second try, not bad. That was probably the hardest one of the first three. The other two are somewhat easy. But anyways, final one. Here, when you tag Sheriff, you want to immediately turn to the left and go through this little section here, because it just saves a bit of time. And also, I don't know whether or not Sheriff has to go around because of his AI, or if he can just go straight through, but whatever he does, you should be fine, especially if you take the shortcut here, you'll save time. But anyways. And again, jump over the puddles, because they'll slow you down otherwise. Like so. There you go. Just head for the arrow. Boom. That's the last one. At least for now. And now we're moving on to the Fuel Frenzies, the second to last event in the Radiator Springs area. Fuel Frenzies are right here. Anyways, as you see, you have the three... I should explain. First, you have the three tanks right here. You have small, medium, and large. You have a fuel meter. You have to make sure you're paying attention, because if you run out, you'll start slowing down and eventually stop. If you stop, that's a forced end. You want to make sure that you don't stop before you reach the finish line after enough laps. So, and this is the other minigame that's faster on easier difficulties. And also the other event that you can lower the lap by 1 on. But only one. Only one. But anyways, basically you see these canisters here. You have 4 bars, basically, on the fuel meter. The small fills a quarter of a bar, medium fills 1 bar, large fills 2 bars. And they say don't overfill your tank, that wastes fuel, but obviously if you're on the easy difficulty and you lower the lap count by 1, rookie difficulty normally requires 2 laps, but instead you only have to do 1 if you lower it by 1, so you don't have to worry about wasting it. Throw that concept out the window for all we care. It's a video game. And it says drive as many laps as you can, but obviously for a speedrun, you don't want to do that. You want to drive the minimum. The numbers on the can shows remaining uses. Again, doesn't really matter, especially if you do it on easy difficulty. Because normally on rookie difficulty, you have to do 2 laps. The medium difficulty is 3 laps, and champion difficulty is 4 laps. Pro difficulty is the medium difficulty. Pro difficulty is 3 laps. Champion is 4. Rookie is 2. But if you lower it all by 1, rookie becomes 1 lap, pro becomes 2 laps, champion becomes 3 laps. But anyways, as you see here, you'll have a little indication of how far you are into the lap up here. And so, yeah, basically you just go through, you collect the canisters to make sure your fuel is full. course, I'm being very conservative right here. What the heck am I thinking? Okay, there we go. I need to remember not to do that next time, because that's very tight. Yikes! What am I doing? Seriously, I'm not thinking straight. Oops. Oh well. At the least, I should still succeed in this. And you can still do the same tricks that we did in Radiator Springs Circuit, like this. As you see. I guess I was wrong. We did still have to deal with Radiator Springs Circuit, but it's whatever. This is the end of Radiator Springs Circuit here. Basically, you want to make sure you have lower... I should mention, though, when you are about to reach the end, you'll want to try your best to not have to pick up fuel cans, because that way you can stop at the finish line, and when your fuel runs out and you stop, it'll automatically end the race. So basically, if your fuel runs out and you stop right past the finish line, that means that it ends the race immediately, and you win it immediately, which is obviously very useful. Unfortunately, I had too much fuel here, so not a lot I could do about that, because I was pretty much picking up gas cans too much near the end. That's alright. If you can get to where you have no fuel by the time you stop past the finish line, then that's pretty much perfect. That's pretty much as fast as you can get it, but yeah. That's the first Fuel Frenzy. Obviously, there's a Fuel Frenzy for each race, regular road race as well. Radiator Springs Circuit, Fillmore's Nature Preserve, and North Williams Butte. It's pretty much just the same thing we saw on those tracks. You just go through and collect the canisters is all. That's literally the only difference. Oh, here I actually missed the jump because I stopped, I guess. Yeah, I hit something. Yeah, I hit that, slowed down too much. I couldn't jump because for some reason if you're too slow you can't jump. So basically I was forced to just ride off like that, clip the little bar there, and I fell into the cave like that, so that way I could respawn with speed. Ah yes, and Mater loves to go fast in these races. He loves to go ahead and collect every single gas canister he can. I don't know why, but he just does. He even knocks stuff down like that, and it got in my way. And I was like, really? What the heck? I don't know why Mater's like that with his AI in these, but... And it's also everyone except for the first one. At least on easy difficulty. And I don't know why. But anyways, I had way too much fuel here, as you can see at the end. And I also forgot to stop. As you saw, I kept going for a while there. I was just like, oh shoot, I need to stop. I was actually starting to get into it. But, oh well. We win. And there's Mater behind us. And then we go through North Williams Butte. Just collecting fuel canisters. But otherwise doing everything normally. And here I don't quite slow down enough. I did have no fuel left, so I could pretty much stop it immediately when I like that. Yeah, as you see, even that was way faster. Was a way faster ending to that race than the previous ones. So yeah, obviously very important that you run out of fuel when you're across the finish line and stop as close to the finish line as possible. Of course, don't try to get too risky at the same time, especially if you're starting to run the game. If you do it wrong, you'll end up not crossing the finish line, and you'll end up having to restart it. And that is no fun. Obviously, because you'd have to restart the whole entire thing over again. So, be careful. Do it safely. As you saw, even this right here, which is also way safer, is somewhat faster. So, I'd rather see that than you stop right before the finish line, try to get across the finish line at the same time as you run out of gas, and then you end up missing the finish line and having to restart the race. That would suck. But it certainly could happen. But anyways, now it's the time for the race that you would do if you were on required events. You would go to next. Of course, if you're all events, you would do everything we just did up till now, and then do same race 1. But anyways, so yeah, requirements and all events converge back for a tiny bit. Stadium Race 1. These stadium races don't really have any skips or tricks in them. It's just about optimizing your racing, your path, and stuff like that. So yeah. This will also be the last thing I cover in this stream for part 1, because part 1 is every part is obviously each area. Radiator Springs, Roaring Valley, Tailfin Pass. But anyways. So yeah, Stadium Race 1. If we win this race, we unlock Roaring Valley. Obviously, because they're slow, you want to get out of the way a bit and make sure you go past them. And yeah, just basically, you can look at the lines I do here, although they're not the absolute best. You can certainly take advantage of them. Obviously, taking inside lines is really good. Make sure you don't go on the grass like I did, though. That was a mistake, because you can slide around and also lose speed because of that. On the hill, you want to hold up so that you can land faster and also land flat. Use boost on straightaways as opposed to corners. You know, basic stuff for racing. And yeah, that's pretty much Stadium Race 1. And that's pretty much it for the whole part 1 of the tutorial. And yes, these are all 3 laps. All stadium races are 3 laps. But anyways, yeah, that's it for the tutorial. For part 1, that is. Thank you guys, or thank you, I guess, for watching. I appreciate it. I will try my best to do the second and third parts as soon as possible. Until then, see you later.